Yo! A shaven Hegassen here, and here we go, One Piece anime episode 907, and we're taking a little bit of a break from Wano this week, and we're going back in time. Back in time to Romance Dawn version 2. What is Romance Dawn version 2? Well, before there was One Piece, before Oda created the marvellous franchise that is One Piece, he created a few one-shots. One of them was Monsters, which told the story of Ryuma slaying a dragon, which eventually kind of became retconned into the One Piece universe, and two of these other one-shots were called Romance Dawn. Romance Dawn 1 and 2. This is Romance Dawn 2. Romance Dawn 3 became what we know as the first chapter of One Piece, but these two are like testing grounds. Oda trying out slightly different styles, honing his skills, slightly different ways of telling the initial story of how Luffy got started as a pirate, and there's quite a lot of similar stuff in here, but quite a lot different as well, and we'll go through these as we break down this episode in this review. And I apologise for the lateness of this review, but I've been super busy as this weekend it is London MCM Comic Con, and I've been getting all that ready. You can see some of my stuff, wrong hand, back there, you can see some of my stuff back there. Now let's break down this chapter, and like I said, some of the stuff is quite similar. The main thing that is very obviously similar is Luffy. Luffy still looks like Luffy. Couple of little like slight design tweaks, especially when you look at the manga. But for the most part, Luffy's Luffy's. Personality is a little bit different, but we'll talk about that later on. Many of the story beats as well are also quite similar. We find out how Luffy got his straw hat and his powers, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, how he got that devil fruit from a pirate that inspired him. Who that pirate is a little bit different. We see Luffy taking down his first weak pirate, and we see him in his little rowing boat, you know, just him in that tiny little rowing boat going out to sea. A lot of that stuff is very similar, but it's a lot of the characters that we meet along the way and how some of this stuff happens are a little bit different. We don't have Luffy meeting Kobe when he takes down the first pirate. Instead we have Luffy meeting Nami, but not quite Nami, because instead we have Anne, and Anne is like Nami but with blue hair, but lots of similarities in their looks, not so much their personality, but definitely in their looks, minus that blue hair. You can see that it's where Nami came from. And Anne, she's this girl who's friends with this bird called Balloon, and this bird, you can see Oda's love of pandas in this bird, because it is a bird with panda faces. You can see Panda Man, wrong hand again, back there. That is kind of where this Panda Man stuff came from, because back in the day, Oda seemed to love pandas. He designed Panda Man, and then you got the Panda Man elements in this as well. So we have this bird, Balloon, and we have Anne, and they are like good friends. The bird basically goes wherever Anne is, and we find out that this bird has like magical powers in its blood. It's not really exaggerated as to what they are, but that is why this bird is being hunted by some pirates. And the pirates that is being hunted by is not Alvida. It's this guy called Spell, S-P-I-E-L, Spell? I'm going to call him Spill. Anyway, he's this rainbow guy, and he has these pretty crazy, obviously devil fruit related powers, but I'm not sure what on earth they're actually meant to be. It doesn't seem like they've been hammered down as to what his powers is. Luffy's are very obvious. He has the rubber fruit, but this guy, at first I thought, oh, maybe he has like Shiki's powers, because he made this guy float, and he has this broom that is flying. He's got like a flying broom kind of motif going on, and then all of a sudden he just makes a hammer out of thin air, and then he just waves his hand and a boat splits in half. So I don't know what his powers are. They just seem to be like generic psychic powers. It's never really explained, but this guy's after this bird because he can make a lot of money off of this bird, so he ends up capturing the bird and ends up capturing Anne. The next character is a character that is very similar and recognisable to us, but very different from the source material. Instead of having Shanks, we have Luffy's grandpa, Garp, looking exactly like Garp as the person who gave Luffy the straw hat and the devil fruit by mistake. And Garp in this is a pirate, but he's not quite the pirate that we know. He's a peace main, and the peace mains are like good pirates. They're like more like adventurers and stuff, as opposed to like pillagers and stuff. And I'm not really too keen on this. Luffy in this says that he wants to be a peace mains, and I'm glad that Oda kind of dropped this, because I didn't really like it. I prefer like the more kind of blurred lines that we have in One Pieces. what are pirates? Are pirates a force for good? Are pirates a force for bad? Are they good pirates, bad pirates? Are the ones in the middle? But it seems like in this timeline, at least, there was only good pirates and bad pirates. You're either a pillager or a peace main. And Luffy wants to be a peace main, and that is what Garp is. Garp's personality in this, I don't think he's actually called Garp, but his personality is pretty similar. You know, he's very jolly, he's very happy, he's always punching Luffy, he's always like, "Gah, ha, 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 ha." So it's classic Garp. It looks like Garp, only a pirate and taking over Shanks' mantle. As I said, Luffy still very much looks like Luffy and very much has the powers that we know that Luffy has, but his personality is a little bit different. He's still a bit of a crybaby as a kid, but as an adult, he's a little bit smarter, he's a little bit more cottoned on. We see earlier on, he quickly figures out how to fix a leak in his boat, and he just seems a little bit more clued up. He still kind of speaks his mind and stuff. In fact, when he meets Spale, Rainbow Guy, he's like, "You have a weird looking face," straight away, completely oblivious to how everyone's reacting. He's still got that kind of side, but he is a little bit smarter, a little bit more independent. And he's also a bit of a jerk, to be honest. He's not that nice a guy as he is in the One Piece that we know. I thought he came off as a little bit of a jerk. In fact, as I'll get to in the story in a little bit, Anne finds herself in trouble and Luffy doesn't even help. He only really helps when Anne saves his life a little bit later on in the story. So for the most part, this is jerk Luffy, and I don't really like this Luffy. He has a pretty epic moment at the end where he punches the bad guy in the face, and that looked awesome. But apart from that, he's a little bit of a jerk Luffy. So what is the story in this Romance Dawn version 2? As we know in the classic Romance Dawn, it's Luffy as a kid. He's with Shanks. He accidentally eats the fruit while Shanks is distracted after he got in a little confrontation with a mountain bandit. And then Luffy later on gets captured. Shanks turns up. The Sea King comes out, bites off Shanks' arm. We all know the story. And then a few years later, Luffy goes out in his boat, stumbles into a whirlpool, ends up in that barrel, ends up on Alvida's ship. Kobe lets Luffy out, and Luffy beats up Alvida. All of that stuff we know, and there's similar elements in this. The story starts off with Luffy already on that boat going out to sea. He kind of winds up in the mix of the bad guy, Rainbow Guy, magical wizard person, chasing Anne and Balloon, getting a hold of them. Luffy basically hands Balloon over to them. Then, because Luffy insults his face, he gets locked up with Anne. They manage to escape using Luffy's powers. Luffy's all like, "Alright, well, I'm going to get out of here." Not even helping Anne, who's trying to free Balloon. Gets shot in the process. But we see that she's pretty competent with a sword. She's actually quite a strong person, you know. Kind of like original pre-time skip Nami when we used to see her battling pirates on her own. So pretty cool. Luffy is about to go off on his own, but he ends up getting on the bad side again of the bad guy, gets knocked into the water, and selflessly goes out to save Luffy. And this is where Luffy kind of does that turn around and actually now starts to care and help Anne. And then that's what he does. He takes down the bad guy. And during that, we get the flashback with Garp replacing Shanks as giving Luffy the straw hat. Luffy saying that he wants to become a pirate. And then we have Garp holding up the devil fruit, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, being like, "This is going to be my prize." Luffy, while he's just holding it out, I should say, Luffy just randomly bites it, and then Garp's like, what are you doing? It seems a little bit anticlimactic as to how Luffy ate it. He literally just bit it while it was in Garp's hand, and then he gets his powers. But for the most part, a lot of the story beats are still there, so what we know the main Romance Dawn. But I do think the Romance Dawn does it a little bit better. As we go throughout the story, there's a few what we would consider Easter eggs, now that we know what One Piece is, but obviously these were done before One Piece, so these are kind of some things where you can see Oda's progression as he was developing the stories and coming up with designs and stuff. So there's a few little things in here that I noticed that I'm like, oh, okay, so this is where they stem from. We see some whales, which obviously look exactly like Laboon. There's a guy on the pirate crew that looks quite similar to Lucky Roo. There's even one that gave me really slight Zoro vibes. There's also, towards the end, the scene where Balloon is holding Luffy in his beak, and we see something very similar to that when Luffy goes to get the bird, and the bird grabs him and drags him off to Orange Town. So there are very similar stuff in here to what there was in early One Piece, and stuff that carried over from this. But overall, I do agree that it isn't the best version of Romance Dawn. The one that we got, I still think is the strongest one. This one isn't as good. The bad guy's powers are all over the place. Luffy eating the devil fruit wasn't as good. it was nice seeing Anne and stuff, but I don't even know where that magical blood thing is going to go with the bird and stuff. I do quite like how we had Nami instead being as like a kind of going off her own side little story and then coming into it rather than being at the start, and having Kobe being a Marine and stuff, you know, and that kind of dynamic. Finding out about the Marines very early on with Kobe and the two different opinions and viewpoints of that. And I didn't like the stuff with the good pirates and the bad pirates that we have in this new Romance Storm. But overall, pretty happy with it. It was a nice, good little story. Nice little slight diversion out of Wano to tell this story. And it was a good like way of reminding what old One Piece was like and how One Piece came to be what it is today. It made me nostalgic. Straight after watching this, I went and watched the first episode. Well, I think it's the 4th episode of the anime. The actual one that covers the Romance Storm. I went straight in to watch that because I got a little bit of a nostalgic bug. The animation and the art style was really nice. I said earlier on that I really liked that final punch that Luffy did. In fact, I like the way that he brought it up. He was like, "Don't worry, it'll be here soon." The bad guy's like, "What? What will be here soon?" He's like, "My right arm," and he's just holding it out like that, and then it comes in and smacks him in the face. That was really good. I really like the hallways inside the ship. They look really good. Kind of really stood out compared to other ships that we see in One Piece. Overall, I'd probably give this a gold tier. It was good. I'm glad that they made it. It gives me high hopes that they'll adapt some other stuff going forwards, such as potentially monsters, maybe the Ace novels, anything like that. I'd rather have stuff like this as opposed to like just random little filler arcs or dragging out scenes from the manga and making them longer than necessary. I much prefer little stuff like this that actually go back and take other sources of One Piece story and canon and stuff and adapt them. The story, like I said, it's not as good as what we got with the actual Romance Storm and stuff, but still great to see. Back to Wano next week. Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like, and if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!